Guess we didn't talk about who's gonna start.
I can start.
Okay.
Hold on. Hey, Jabbers, we are back with season 3 of Just Another Biz Podcast. I cannot believe it is 2026. We are excited because we are moving to weekly episodes and we're gonna make a lot of other great content for you guys. So you don't have to wait bi-weekly for an episode. But yeah, Gabby, how are you feeling? It's a new year.
I know. I can't believe it. I've been relaxing over the holidays. It's been really chill, ready for this new year. You guys know, with my shiny object syndrome, I'm always chasing the next most exciting thing, but I am focused this year. I'm super pumped about our weekly episodes. I feel like Carrie and I voice memo every week about stuff, and we might as well talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah. So we wanted to dive in, kind of kick off the season. There is a survey out from Sara Does SEO and the Abundance Group. They gathered responses from over 500 wedding professionals across the industry to basically collect like raw data. 100, it's 100% anonymous, raw, real data just about the state of the wedding industry, where it's going. It's, how couples are booking, what is the response time, what level are they booking at in terms of pricing. I'm trying to think what else was in the,
Yeah, they were saying like biggest fears and
oh yeah.
challenges across the wedding industry, what's actually happening with leads and booking and buying behavior, which is really
Mhm.
interesting because I've done a lot of digging for my own wedding business about Gen Z and understanding them. And also like where wedding pros are seeing opportunities heading into 2026 now that we're here, and what pros wish couples understood.
Yeah.
So I'm like so pumped that they did this in late 2025. And this is a whole blog post, which we'll link in the show notes that you
Mhm.
guys can go in. But Carrie and I thought we should just discuss some of these things because it's all people are talking about right now.
Yeah. Because one of the other big things I talk about is where leads are coming from. And most of you are going to be surprised that TikTok is not the savior that people think it is of where they're getting their leads from. And like
Thank God.
SEO is, yeah, still the leading thing in the game, which I think it always has been.
Mhm.
It's just a long game for people. And so we'll dive into some of that they talked about in the survey as well. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into this because I think it's really fascinating, but also I think it helps you feel a little less alone that you're not the
Mhm.
only person in the industry struggling. And also, just to clarify, this was a group of people ranging from like solo entrepreneurs to businesses with like multiple employees. Even I think there were a few like larger, not corporations, but like larger businesses, like catering companies that have a lot of employees. So there's definitely a range of, solo entrepreneurs to larger companies. It's not just like one person businesses giving this feedback too.
Yeah. No, this is so cool. Okay, let's jump in. Basically, Kara and I have taken this information, we read the survey, and we had a little conversation with ChatGPT. And we said, we read all this, but let's sum it up for our listeners so it doesn't have to be a 2 hour long episode. So, here's some big picture highlight of this survey. Essentially, couples are slower to book. They're like once they get the proposal, they are taking close to a month, like anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks to just, I don't know, what are they doing? Are they just looking at the proposal? Are they printing it out? Are they price shopping? Like what is taking so long? We don't know, but they are taking a long time. I find that to be true. I've been following up a lot with couples and it will be crickets for a long time until my last email, which I have this like little sequence that I send out. My last one is literally, "Are you okay?" And people are responding
Does
to
it
that.
literally say that?
Yes, I will send it to you. It's set
That's
the subject line is,
amazing.
yeah, it's "Are you okay?" And then it's like, "Hey, just want to
Gabby,
make
that's genius. You
someone
should
else."
put like a cricket emoji in there. Be like, are you okay? Crickets.
Yes, I did. This was a sequence actually that, I think it was Ashley from the Abundance Group that had this sequence. And one of her last emails was literally, "Are you okay?" And I've gotten the most response. Like, I will send four other emails leading up to that one. That's the only one that people are like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, we booked someone else." I'm like, just tell
That's
me.
so, yeah, I know that happens all the time. I mean, I would agree. I think you probably have a little more experience in the booking last year because mine was a little bit slower. I was taking on less, but even in the couples I did book, I would say it took like 3 to 4 weeks sometimes. And I was like, okay, well, I've lost this client. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, what were you doing? Or you just, are they still like researching? They're still price comparing. I'm not really sure. I mean, I know some people just are like, oh, I was so busy or I was traveling with work, but I I think it's nice to know for a lot of professionals, like this is a industry-wide shift, not
Mhm.
a personal failure on why clients aren't responding to you.
Yeah. And they did mention that there's basically shorter planning windows and that there is possibly more comparison shopping as the norm. So that could mean not necessarily price comparison, but perhaps they're trying to find the best value or like who is offering something that best represents them. And so in order to do that, they need to inquire with multiple planners.
Mhm.
And that is a something that I have found with Gen Z is they are not looking for logo no name like companies where they don't know the planners. They are literally wanting to connect with the individual planner. So
Yeah,
that is very different.
yeah, for sure. So I think this is an interesting insight that 2026 feels weird, but 2027 looks hopeful for a lot of industry pros. They said the average booking health in 2025 was 66%, and for 2026, it's at 42%. And obviously, that was at the end, by the end of last year. But a lot of pros are saying they have more inquiries or bookings for 2027 than 2026.
That's crazy.
So I guess we're looking at this year as sort of like a transition gap year, which I would have said last year felt like that for me. And
But
I
that's
would.
because you were taking on
True.
less.
But I
Yeah.
also would say from a lot of conversations I had with people, they also felt like bookings are down. I
Mm.
don't think maybe as much as maybe people feel going into this year. Um, but I did have quite a few conversations where people were like, this year already is kind of the start of it feeling different as well.
Okay, yeah. And I think you and I, Carrie, recorded an episode recently about what we do during our slow season, which I
Hmm.
think could really apply to 2026 as a whole in the sense that like yes you're still getting business. We're not saying it's
Hmm.
0%, but if you are booking less, there's so much you can do to get your business ready for 2027. I think like we've been stuck post COVID in so many years of so busy working in the business that we have not had time to better the business in other ways, our websites, updates, or if we want to do team photo shoots or whatever
Hmm.
the case may be. So this would be a good year to get all your ducks in a row, still work some weddings and events, but then really hit the ground hard in
Hmm.
2027.
And maybe this, again, I think in that episode we talked about like maybe it's a good time to figure out like how else you want to pivot your business. How else can you bring in revenue instead of solely relying on wedding clients specifically?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so next topic in the survey was budget sensitivity is real and widespread. I actually thought this was really fascinating, and I think this was well, I think this says per vendor. So it says most couples are spending 5K or less per vendor, venues excluded, of course. But there was a note in there with planners specifically, they were spending 5K or less. And I thought that was really interesting. I mean, I assume most people are, hiring people for like day of coordination. I absolutely hate that because that doesn't exist, but like a management package. Um, but that's a pretty low, I mean, for me, like I don't even offer a basic management package anymore, but I feel like that's a pretty low price point for a lot of wedding planners.
Yeah, I would agree. I have I have felt this and I panicked. I think I talked about this on the last
Hmm.
episode. where like I had offered a really cheap rate as like a Hail Mary to some of these couples after I emailed them, "Are you okay?" And three of them booked, but like I am not making any money on these packages. I don't know why I took them. I think I was just like, oh my God, I'm not booking for 2026. This is crazy. What am I going to do? And I felt this. I felt that there was so much more price shopping, or that like one of my question is what is most important to you, and a
Mhm.
lot of them are choosing me, like staying within budget. And I
Mm.
hate that. I almost have that there as a way to hopefully get rid of some of these people, like seeing
Yeah.
like they're not my best
Yeah.
match. But I just found it to happen too often for me to turn everybody away. And so it goes for me, this goes back to I need to make sure that I'm selling based off of emotional benefits, not price. And so
Mhm.
over the holidays, I just had to sit down with myself and say, okay, any new inquiry coming in, they're not getting a discount. If it's a no, it's a no. If
Mhm.
they love what you do and you know that you can give them your best, they will pay the price
Yeah.
that you're listing. So this is interesting. And I'd be curious to hear from wedding pros that are listening how this is going for them. Have they had to change their packages? Are they sticking to their guns? Like what's going on?
Because I think it says that budget mismatch is like the number one reason inquiries are not converting, and ghosting is like the number two frustration. But I think that kind of leads into, I know later in the survey it talks about how like the middle market is kind of
Mm,
disappearing, which Gabby and I are going to dive into more on a Substack members only post here in a couple weeks.
episode.
Or sorry, yeah, episode. But I think that's really fascinating, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like high-end clients or low-budget clients, and the middle is sort of disappearing. It's like either you have a lot of money or you don't have any money. It's
Yeah.
not like this, oh yeah, I have like some money and I'm willing to spend that. I think with this new generation, it's disappearing a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to dive into that more for our members only because I think you and I have a lot of thoughts there.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing they mention is that you're probably wondering what your conversion rate is and is it normal? But it is sounds like for most of those that answered, like over 500 of them, that most pros are converting between 21 to 60% of inquiries. That is a wide range.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
Actually, now that I'm looking at that, but this is what the normal range is. Like wait, maybe we erase this part because I don't actually know how to
Yeah.
talk about that. That's such a wide range that I don't
Hold on. Yeah,
even.
let me look at, because I thought,
Low booking rates does not mean bad sales skills. I think we just remove that because we already talked
yeah.
about the market behavior.
And we kind of talked about most are reporting a 66% booking level.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a huge, like
I know
21
that's
to
way too wide
60%.
to do
That's
anything.
fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then marketing trade. Okay. I'll start with this marketing one.
Okay. Yeah, because,
Okay.
well, sorry,
Oh,
I was going to say really quick, it's like it has a breakdown, and the highest percentage is saying between 21 to 40% is what they're booking.
mm, okay.
I
Well,
think it pulled a weird, because it does say most pros fall between 21 to 60%, but that
mm,
I think Chad
it
just
pulled
pulled
war.
that
Okay.
weird. Yeah.
Oh, well, we can skip that
Okay.
one. Okay, marketing wise, I find this to be super interesting. You led to this earlier, Carrie, but that TikTok is not where these weddings are being booked from. Like that is great news for millennials because we don't have the time or the necessarily the what's the word?
Desire
Does
or bandwidth. I don't know.
desire and honestly just capability and talent to
Hmm.
be on TikTok. So apparently only 4% of pros say that TikTok brings them leads. We love to hear that. That the top sources are still Google search. Amazing. Because that's evergreen content that you have on your website.
Hmm.
Referrals, of course, that I found to be true even more so for Gen Z. Gen Z is really big on referrals, and Instagram, which is great because we know this platform, we know what to do on it. Um, Perhaps it just means changing. I have heard that static, very curated posts are not necessarily what Gen Z is looking for. They want to see more behind the scenes, reels. They want to see
Mm,
you in action and slightly more messy posts, I guess we could say.
that's fascinating. I mean, 4% is really low, and it makes me feel a lot better about
Yeah.
not being active on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think also is great because SEO relationships and systems are having a comeback. I
Yay.
mean, I think SEO has always been like the number one thing to do. It's just people, nobody, especially in our generation, likes a long game. We like instant gratification, which is why people were like, I'm going to get on TikTok and Instagram and go viral because it feels great to have that like instant, connections, likes, people commenting, and like maybe slightly more traffic to your website. But I think it's key that like a lot of pros are wanting to invest in a marketing plan. And really, a lot of them, over half, are prioritizing systems, automation, and workflows. And I think that it's important for us to remember like the long-term game is going to help your business more
Hmm.
than just a viral post.
Thank goodness. And I think that should be a huge relief for people that you don't have to do these quick fixes. Like so many TikTok dances and reels. Like, yes, they're good, like you said, Carrie, to get that
Mhm.
boost and bring in probably new followers. But once you get them, the person that's searching in Google search bar and on ChatGPT, which chat is pulling information from your website, this is what needs to be on your website for it to find you. So we
It's
love
like the
that.
sustainability of your business,
Yeah.
right? Versus like the viral trends is not sustaining your business for years to come. So
Yeah. No.
this is the year of boring business foundation. So, if you're slower on inquiries, like work on the SEO, work on those back end things that create that evergreen content to bring in more clients.
Totally. Yeah. The other part of this survey that was really interesting was they did a kind of an emotional reality check, I guess. And they are saying that burnout's everywhere. And that is not surprising. I still think people did not have their heads screwed on right after COVID. They came out the gate so dang fast and it became a sprint for them, but it was a marathon. Like we are saying, the long term game. And those that just overworked themselves for a few years after COVID cannot keep up right now. And I think even so, like for us that tried to, we went a little hard right after COVID because we had no choice, but then we steadied ourselves out. But it's still creating a little bit of burnout,
Hmm.
inconsistent inquiries. I think that's the other part too, is like the buying behavior is so dependent sometimes on the economy, on politics, like all this
Hmm.
stuff really affects us. And if you think about it, the wedding industry, we do not have repeat clients. We are constantly trying to find new clients every year. And that is really, really hard.
That's a
Like
hard business
it's a
model.
hard business model. Who else has
Yeah.
to do that every year, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I think
Because
there's
yeah, you're like losing subscribers from a newsletter that you have. Like those people, once you're married, like people, they're just not interested, right?
no.
They're not interested in your content anymore, even though they loved you at the time. I mean, I have some clients who are just kind and like stay on it, but
Aw.
it's like people are unsubscribing because they don't need it anymore. They're moving on to the next phase of their life. But I think I also think a lot of us have been in the industry for a long
Hmm.
time. And I think a lot of that burnout that they're talking about of like marketing fatigue, client expectation gaps, pricing anxiety are all par for the course of like being in the industry for 10 plus years. And we've seen it change so drastically from like 2014 until now. And I think we've been through a lot in
Yeah.
this industry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think um it's not a career necessarily that we want to be in when, well, that's not true. I was gonna say when we're not 70, but there is someone, I can't remember who it was. I talked to someone recently. She's like, oh no, like I literally want to be like Mindy Weiss and I want to be planning late into my years. I love it so much. I'm like, wow, that's shocking, but I love that for you. And like, that's amazing. I don't. So
Right. Sometimes I'm like, how much planning does Mindy actually do? Or is she just
true,
like the face of like the episodes on the Kardashians or
true.
like the master class, you know? Like sometimes maybe she has, I don't know how she has her hand in the business, but I mean,
It just
good for
shows
that
up.
person of wanting to do
Yeah,
that into their 70s.
I know. I love that for them.
Bravo. So I think one of the like as we kind of get to the end of this survey recap, what's coming next? Kind of future casting, the market is splitting into two, and this is what Gabby and I briefly talked about, and we want to dive into more. But budget conscious couples are scaling back, but high end clients are still spending confidently, and that middle market is just it's starting to shrink, and it's forcing vendors like I would say like us, Gabby, I would kind of
Mm-hmm.
say we're in the middle market,
Yeah,
where we've had good high paying clients, but they weren't luxury. But it's forcing us to like reposition. And I think that goes back to you being like you offer a low ball to a few clients, but then you're like, this isn't like
it hurt
a
me.
right fit for me. So we're trying to figure out our pricing for these clients because I think there's also a part of us that we're like, we're not in luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. It's trying to figure out that new pricing structure for the clients we still want to attract.
Yeah, and I'd also be curious to know if the budget conscious couples are still wanting wanting the big wedding but for less
Hmm.
money, or
Yeah.
are we talking about people who are going back to courthouse weddings, small
Mm.
elopements? Are they scaling back because they are literally doing the true micro wedding or elopement? Or are they literally like, I want a 150 person wedding, but I want to pay $20,000? Because
Right.
I have issues with that. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying we can't target the budget conscious couples, but it's going to be a very, like, it's probably going to go back to an all inclusive, let's say $5,000 package for a two-person elopement, an
Hmm.
hour photography, a bouquet, and champagne. Like, that's what you get. And
Yeah.
that's all included in
Yeah.
$5,000.
I mean, and I don't know if it's just people are more vocal about it, but I feel like I see a lot online, especially on threads of people just being like, weddings are so expensive.
Hmm.
Like, I got a quote for $11,000 from a photographer. This is insane. And like people, I think a lot, we've talked about like people just aren't educated on what weddings cost. I
Yeah,
think people get engaged and they're so excited, and then reality smacks them in the face. Um, but I do think people are wanting to spend a lot less than they were even 2 years ago.
that's true. I mean, I don't blame them though, because
Yeah.
we
Life
always
is
talk about
expensive.
it is like we are not our clients. We
Right.
would not spend what our clients spend. I hope our
Mm.
clients don't listen to this podcast,
But
but
thank you. Thank you for
thank you for supporting us. Oh man. Okay, yeah, another thing about the future. So a lot of smaller, like we just said, weekday weddings and off-season weddings. And this is very true. I know firsthand. I think we have two Monday weddings in 2026, a
Mm.
Tuesday wedding and a Thursday wedding.
Oh,
I
wow.
have never had so many weekday weddings as
Yeah.
I am going to have in 2026. And they are all at the same venue, actually, because we're a preferred
Okay.
vendor at this venue. And this venue is a glass house, and they're only two or three, this will be their third season. They are so popular that I
Hmm.
think it's a combination of, yes, the client is getting a discount for a weekday wedding, but also this might be the only dates that are available at this glass house. And people are so desperate, like they want it so bad
Yeah.
that they will do a Monday, Tuesday wedding. It's crazy though.
That is a lot. I mean, I've only ever had, I feel like one or two throughout the year in the past couple of years where I'm like, oh, a Monday wedding, which I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, you get such a cheaper rate on like a weekday wedding for the venue specifically, I would say. I don't know about like other vendors because
Right.
like my rate's the same. But yeah, a lot of venues, which is a huge cost difference from like a Saturday event to a Monday. So you can save a lot of money with the venue.
Yeah. And it's a great way to reduce your guest count a little bit. If you are struggling with like your guest count, your invitation list is a little bit too big and you're trying to squeeze that back a little bit,
Hmm.
have a weekday wedding. A lot of people
Yeah.
won't be able to come, and that's great
Yeah.
for your pocketbook.
Yeah.
Do people still say that? Pocketbook?
Pocketbook.
What is a
I think so. What is
what is a pocketbook? A wallet? Is that
a
what a
wallet,
wallet
I
is?
assume? Yeah. Oh God. Maybe we'll cut this out. Okay, one of the last points, which we all love to talk about AI and how that's affecting our lives, but I think they have said it's both helpful and confusing everyone. I think pros are using AI for efficiency in their business, but couples are also using AI for planning, and sometimes it's creating unrealistic expectations for them. And so I think for a lot of vendors to sell themselves to potential clients is like opportunity lies in your expertise, your taste, and just that human
Mhm.
connection of like, what can you provide for clients? What kind of experience, how you're going to make them feel throughout that. And that's a huge point of selling of like what you can provide. Um, and I don't think AI is going to replace wedding pros, but I think it will expose like who has real
Mhm.
expertise in the wedding industry. And I do think it's going to make it a little harder to sell ourselves because people are like, well, I can get this for free. And like ChatGPT can help me plan my wedding. Why am I going to pay somebody? So I think selling on that human connection is a huge piece of that.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that I think of it, I wonder if this decrease in spending in the wedding industry is at all related to what budget questions couples are asking ChatGPT. Because as we
Mhm.
know, when they ask questions, they may get nationwide averages, which could be
Mhm.
very low if you're planning a wedding in the middle of nowhere, Kansas versus in Los Angeles. So I wonder if they're like, hey, chat, give me a wedding budget. And they're like, great, allocate $1,400 for your wedding planner.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, okay, that's not working out.
There was an article at the end of last year. Was it like the New York Times or something? They put together like an article and the average was still around like 30 or 35,000 for a
Wow.
wedding. And it was just like the whole post just felt so misleading.
Yeah.
But I still find that fascinating that we're keeping numbers so low, but then like using photos of like $1 million wedding on it. They
Right.
had like a ceremony that was literally, I think flowers in it were probably like $15,000.
Oh
But it's
my
like
God.
we're posting photos that are unrealistic for like the numbers that
Yeah.
we're attaching to them.
Yeah, no, so true. I was gonna say, like, you brought up a good point about human connection being how we're gonna probably sell our packages a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I do think this tends to happen when new technology is implemented. We go back to analog. For
Mhm.
example, digital photography was all the rage for a long time, and then film came back, and people were
Mhm.
missing that nostalgic feeling of film cameras, and then how camcorder video footage is coming back. So I do think, like, yes, maybe couples are going to try to do some of the planning on their own, but at some
Mhm.
point they're going to reach this moment of panic where they're like, "Oh my God, I don't know if this applies to me and I need someone who knows my venue. I just need to talk to
Yeah.
someone." And I
Yep.
wonder if selling some like phone planning packages where whether we
Mhm.
can be on site for them or not, but it's like, "Hey, did you plan your wedding on ChatGPT, but do you have a lot of questions? Here's my package,
Yeah, like like
$250 an hour."
yep. Yeah.
I
I think
bet there's going
that
to be some new packages that come out like that.
mhm.
I'm going to write a
Mhm.
blog post about that. I think I'm going to try and see if
You should. Yeah.
SEO will
I've
help
actually
me.
thought about that, just like, yeah, offering calls to people who are like,
Yeah.
I'm not hiring a coordinator, but I need some professional advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Or like,
like
can you review my timeline? Can you? And
totally.
like, I could totally sit on a phone call for an hour and like go through your timeline, like give you advice on your budget or like give you tips of like,
You
here's what you could
should.
actually do instead. Yeah.
And you can literally, even if you're at home, you could go and look up this venue. You could have a quick call with the venue and say, "Hey,
Mhm.
I am doing planning, virtual planning for this couple. I have some questions about your venue. Great. Thank you so much. And then you tweak their timeline.
Yep.
This could be a pivot for you, Carrie.
This is the new. I'm gonna go to my website and start adding this.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. No, I love this survey. I'm so glad they did this. I think it was fascinating and I think it's really reassuring. That's the other
Hmm.
thing is we've all been talking about 2026. Like I remember as early as I feel like summer of 2025, we were like, I don't know, 2026 isn't looking so hot.
Yep.
And it's true. It's a little slower. People are sitting on their proposals longer. But we have to kind of change the way we're selling to them and what we're offering that's different than ChatGPT. And also keeping in mind those Gen Z couples that are not looking for generic, perfectly curated stuff. Like they want to know who their planners are, they
Yep.
want to know behind the scenes a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's not over for us, there's still hope.
It's not over. And I think, I mean, Gabby and I just hit some like very high level points on this survey. So, like we said, we'll link the blog post in our show notes, but I think definitely like sit down and read it. It's a longer
Mhm.
survey and the information, but I think it's well worth your time of just sitting down and you'll feel a lot better about yourself, honestly. But
Heck
I
yeah.
think it's great to have this knowledge going into the year and how you want to structure your business.
I agree. And one thing I want to end on, just because we said at the beginning of the episode, we're obviously going into weekly episodes in 2026, but I think some fun things that happened for us in 2025 were just numbers that we hit. We had just in 2025 alone, we had almost 3,000 downloads. I think it was 2,991 downloads, which was awesome. And
Yeah.
that puts us over 6,000 for the entirety of the podcast, which is amazing. We're so grateful for all of you. We have a few Substack subscribers, both free and paid. Which guys, you can come over for free. We understand that that might not be in the cards for you to be a paid subscriber, but if you are a paid subscriber, you do get a monthly unfiltered episode of our thoughts or deeper dive into topics like this. That's going to be our February episode. We're going to be talking about the middle market and how it's going away and what we're doing to kind of counter that,
Mhm.
and just kind of deeper thoughts on that. So we'd love for you to join us there. And also just giving us a 5-star rating or review has helped the podcast tremendously. So many of you have done that in 2025, and we're so thankful for that. But yeah, what a
Yeah.
great start to the year.
Yeah. We had a good 2025 and excited for all the content episodes to come. I think we have some good guests coming up as well,
Mhm.
so it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you next
Next
week.
week. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.